Welcome back to the Kyle Olson Show. Joining me now is State Representative Beau LaFave, who represents District 108 in the Upper Peninsula. That's made up of Delta, Menominee, and Dickinson counties, so Escanaba, Menominee, and Iron Mountain. Beau LaFave, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kyle.
So the House and Senate this week sued Governor Whitmer because of the extended state of emergency. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that it's necessary. I want a partner in the executive branch that will sign bills that she agrees with and veto other ones that she disagrees with. I'd like a balance of power like we've had for 200 years in this state of Michigan. But unfortunately, the governor has snubbed our offer to share power of the House and Senate and the three branches of government, and instead has decided that she wants to legislate all on her own, presumably until the end of her term. And hopefully, in her mind, she gets reelected. So we can't continue that way. We've never had a dictatorship in the state of Michigan. And I'm not willing to, as a free citizen or a lawmaker, allow her dictatorship to continue. And that's why we filed lawsuit.
What do you think is her motivation behind the 70-plus executive orders? I mean, is it simply that the legislature and the governor don't agree, or do you think there's something more to it?
75 executive orders in just the year 2020 alone. Now, we all know she's running for vice president and would like to be creepy Joe Biden's running mate. But that all aside, it really doesn't matter what her motivations are. The effect of what she's doing is killing people. She shut down surgeries all across the state of Michigan to save PPE. Well, that may have been necessary, but to continue it past the after we flattened the curve and spread it out is completely unnecessary and is only killing lives. So we need to, in my opinion, I really don't care what her motivations are at this point. I just need to restore the balance of power to save lives in the state of Michigan, because her executive orders are killing more Michiganders than the coronavirus is. Now, they're different Michiganders, but I don't want to choose one life versus another. We've got to strike a balancing act and get this economy get back to work, because we don't have enough money to continue to pay these unemployment benefits and the teacher salary and the police and the local health department salaries.
So your district is in the Upper Peninsula. I think the counties that you represent have not been as hard hit as, say, a Kent County, Grand Rapids, or a Wayne County, Detroit. But talk a little bit about the impact that the shutdown has been having on businesses and families in your district.
The economic impact has hit just as hard in my district as in other parts of the state. Fortunately, we haven't seen the number of casualties from COVID-19 as we have in other parts of the state, and we feel lucky for that. And we grieve for every lost soul from this horrible disease that frankly never should have been here in the first place, if it would have been contained in its country of origin, China, in the first place. But I digress on all that. I feel terrible for the loss of any life, and we have lost life up in the Upper Peninsula, and we grieve for them, and we want to remind the families that we're praying for them. At the same time, we can't stay shut down forever. The suicide hotline's up 1,000% right now. Alcohol dependency, substance abuse, child abuse, spousal abuse is all on the rise, and I have businesses that have already admitted that they're never going to open again. I've got a meat processing facility somewhere in my district that I need to talk to later today, see if we're going to be able to get them to open up ever again. The economic impact is devastating. People have been calling my office for over 50 days, unable to get unemployment. So the governor simultaneously was able to flatten the curve with respect to COVID-19. She also flattened the curve with respect to unemployment benefits by not letting enough people work to actually get in there and file the claims. We have over 200,000 residents that have been calling for weeks at this point.
So I was at the Operation Gridlock protest a couple weeks ago in Lansing. I was there for Breitbart News. I was able to speak with Speaker Lee Chatfield, who was promoting the idea of a regional approach to reopening the state, or at least, dealing with coronavirus, because you can have districts or communities, counties like those in your district or other counties in northern Michigan that literally have 0 cases. And then you have, again, counties like Wayne or Kent or others in the more southern part of the state that are more affected. Where it just seems to me that there could be a regional approach to this. Where is the legislature? Where is the governor on that sort of concept? And is that a solution?
I think that we need a regional approach, but at first it needs to start with a statewide fix. A statewide fix to some of the executives' more egregious executive orders and limitations on our freedoms that serve no purpose at this point statewide. I think that would be an immediate end to the statewide stay-at-home order. I don't think that the governor can go on television and declare this is the new normal while simultaneously arguing that is an emergency and that's why the legislature can't legislate. If this is the new normal, then we've got to get back to legislating. So the end of the stay-at-home order, I think, is necessary statewide, but regionally, I think that the number of occupancy at restaurants in Iron Mountain might be able to be a little bit higher than in Ingham County, for example, where our capital is. We need to be reasonable about how we look at this thing. I penned an article a couple days ago that talks about, we can either just continue to lock down until a vaccine is developed, as the governor recommends, but there's no evidence that a vaccine is likely to be here for the next year. We've had viruses that have been around for over 100 years, and we still don't have a vaccine for them. We could completely open up with absolutely no restrictions, but you lose a lot of benefits for folks that have immunocompromisation that really should not be going back to work yet. It's kind of unnecessary. We also need to protect the nursing homes. So I'd like to take door number 3 and put occupancy restrictions on restaurants at a regional level. It can be different in different parts of the state. We need to test nursing homes. We need our first responders and the folks that are on the front lines to get antigen tested. And if they have the antibodies, because I believe that this disease spread much more quickly before we even knew about it, let's get everybody antigen tested that are in a high contact with our elderly or people with immunocompromisation, see where they're at. If they're already have the antigen, they can go back to work with no masks.
So we've only got about 30 seconds left, but you touched on it earlier. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is on Joe Biden's short list for vice president. What kind of a vice president do you think she would be?
I don't think she will be a vice president. So at least it's unfortunate for Michigan, because we'd get her out of here right now. We could deal with Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, and I think he'd be a lot more reasonable, although I wouldn't vote for him for governor. But if Governor Whitmer were to be the vice president of the United States, take her dictator policies that she's doing in the state of Michigan and apply them to the United States of America, because Joe Biden will not be the person that's running the free world. It'll be some puppet master behind the scenes. There's no way that man is cognizant enough to run the country. And I promise you, as a citizen of the state of Michigan and as a legislator of Michigan, regardless of what you think about the Republican Party, you do not want Vice President Gretchen Whitmer running the United States of America, because the lockdown will never end for the whole country.
State Representative Beau LaFave, thanks for joining me today.
It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Coming up, the importance of manufacturing to Michigan and America and what needs to be done to move work back from China. Don't go away.